各位委員，我哋復會啊嚇，
Let's resume. Next item. The FEHD's proposal to create a supernumerary directorate post in the FEHD AOSGC D2 to lead the market division of the FEHD upon approval, with immediate effect upon approval of Finance Committee for a period of 5 years, to take forward a fundamental review of the facilities and management of public markets and implementation of management measures. The administration consulted the Food Safety and Environmental Hygiene Panel of the Legislative Council on the 11th of April 2017, and we have public officers attending our meeting for this item. Mr. Daniel Chang, Deputy Secretary for Food and Health, and Ms. Diane Wong, Principal Assistant Secretary for Food and Health, Mr. David Wong, Deputy Director of Food and Environmental Hygiene, and Mr. Lam Wing Hong, Assistant Director of Food and Environmental Hygiene. Chairman of the FSEH panel, Dr. Helena Wong, is a member of the subcommittee, but she also has to chair the public hearing of the panel at 10:45 and is therefore unable to report to the establishment subcommittee on the salient point of discussion of the panel. So I am going to report on her behalf. The FSEH panel discussed the relevant proposal to create the post at a meeting of the 11th of April 2017. Some members indicated support of the proposal, and some other members indicated that if the person taking up this post is not proactive towards improving the management model of public markets, then the members cannot support the proposal. Some members are mainly concerned about the specific duties of this new assistant director and the reason for setting a time limit of 5 years and whether work indicators have been set up. According to the administration, the post holder will need to take up a number of duties, such as taking forward a fundamental review of the facilities and management of public markets and formulation of overall strategy and action plans, and setting up a mechanism on the major improvement proposal of cooked food centers, public markets, and cooked food stalls to improve the efficiency and effectiveness and to monitor the implementation of these works projects. C, to devise overall strategies and to give priority to public markets that requires action, and also to formulate implementation plans to revitalize and consolidate markets with low utilization rate. D, to set new design standards for public markets, and E, to review and enhance the operation and management model of public markets, including review of the management consultative mechanism of public markets, and to enhance liaison with stakeholders. Because the above tasks take time, the administration has proposed to have a supernumerary post for 5 years. Some members have also expressed concerns on the need of public markets territory-wide, and 2 motions were passed by the panel at that meeting, urging the administration to find land to build new public markets and to conduct public consultation on revitalizing public markets. These 2 motions' consolidated response from the administration has been forwarded to members on the 28th of March 2017 in the paper CB-21085/1617. We have 2 members waiting to ask questions, Mr. Eddie Ju and Dr. Loy Kwok. Mr. Eddie Ju, 5 minutes. Well, some members may query why the term is set at 5 years, but my question rather is why the administration believes that 5 years would suffice in meeting all the objectives set out in paragraph 12. Because for the issue of public markets, we have been stuck for 20 years. And after submitting the consultancy report in 2015, nothing has been done about the 6 markets mentioned in the report. For example, for Wing Fong Street public market, it is recommended that air conditioning be installed in the market that is in my constituency. And so far, there has been no progress. So my question is, first, why do you believe that a period of 5 years would allow you to come up with a new management and operational model if things have been stuck for so many years? Who would take the question? Mr. Zhang? Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Member, for the question. At the last panel meeting, we heard divergent views from members, and we agree that it takes time to improve the hardware and software of public markets. Our proposal this time is to set up a dedicated team to complete these tasks. It doesn't mean that the tasks will be completed in 5 years. We mean that in these 5 years, we rely on this team to plan and to take forward the initiatives and also to monitor the progress. We would like to set a good example and to lead by example. We have set the term for 5 years, but after the post lapse, FEHD colleagues will take up the work. So it doesn't mean that we will be in an impasse after 5 years. Madam Chair, I have this question. I want to know whether the senior echelon of the administration is committed to doing something about it, because this post is not about decision making. This post is about execution of orders. I want to know whether the head is committed to solving the problem. If the answer is yes, then I understand why you need this post. Otherwise, I don't see any resolve from you since 2015. In 1998, we have been freezing the market rent, the rent of public markets, and this year it is suggested that the rents will be increased before the management model will be improved, and you're facing unanimous opposition in this council. You have been taking a piecemeal approach and making minor improvements, but I don't see any resolve at the decision-making level. Can you convince us that you are determined to resolve the issues, and this new team will be responsible for implementing your ideas? Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I think that we should not doubt the Hong Kong SAR government's resolve to improve public markets, and in this year's policy address, there is a paragraph on improving the hardware of existing public markets as well as software. The administration has given an undertaking to take this up. The proposal to create this post is one of the things we do in honoring the pledge in the policy address. I'll wait for my second round, Madam Chair. First round, Dr. Loy Kwok. Thank you, Madam Chair. I speak to support this proposal of creation of supernumerary directorate posts in the FEHD. But even if this is a permanent post instead of a supernumerary post, I still support it, because if we refer to the main duties and responsibilities of this post, it's closely related to people's livelihood, because he will take forward a fundamental review of the facilities and management of public markets. He will also oversee the improvement of cooked food centers and cooked food markets, improvement works projects, and also implementation of, say, installing air conditioning in public markets, and these are all related to people's livelihood, and they're touched upon in different panel meetings. That's why I support this post, and I even support the creation of a permanent post. And because of the special review, you would like to set the time limit of this post to 5 years so as to conduct a review. I support that. So in general, I speak in support of this proposal. Madam Chair, is this the last ESC meeting before summer break? I don't know whether we have another available slot. No. Never mind about that. We have 2 other papers for today's meeting, so I will cut it short. I hope that we have time to deal with all the items today. We don't have time for another meeting. So next, Mr. Wu Chi-wai, first round. Thank you, Madam Chair. About market management, we have tabled a lot of comments and suggestions, including air conditioning in public markets and trade mix and layouts of public markets. We have been talking about these issues for a long time, but I don't see how in the process the FEHD has done anything about these general strategies. And last time when you conducted a special consultancy study on the 6 public markets, I criticized you. I think that this is somewhat equivalent to a marketing research report compiled by university students. When it comes to market management, you should consider the unique features of individual public markets. You should not adopt a consolidated strategy. So I don't know how this time-limited supernumerary post of 5 years will do in terms of a consolidated study. Is he going to implement recommendations already put forward in the past? And also, if another comprehensive review is to be conducted, how will it be conducted? Will you heed our views? For example, for individual public markets, you will give individual consideration on how they are to be operated, and then you gauge the result instead of just asking a consultant to write up a report which is equivalent to a marketing research paper compiled by a university student. I'd like to know more about these points.
Hi, 秘書長。
Deputy Secretary, thank you. I can say for certain that the team will pay attention to the actual operation of markets. Our markets are different in terms of number of customers, size, etc. So in our review and planning, we will certainly be realistic. And we have elaborated on that in our paper. In the past, we've faced different difficulties in different projects. For example, the installation of air conditioners. As I said, planning, execution, and supervision or monitoring are all important. And in some markets, at least 85% of the tenants have agreed to installing air conditioners. So this is something we will continue. In our review, apart from traditional modes of operation, will we consider new approaches? And this is something we have also considered. Thank you. In your review or study methodology, would you adopt different approaches in reality rather than just conducting a desktop study. For some public markets, they have been discussed for quite some time at LegCo. Are you going to come up with a roadmap or timeline for implementation, or are you going to start from square one? Mr. Chang. As we said in the paper, when conducting review and planning, consultation is of great importance, so we will certainly be pragmatic. We will work with the stakeholders, including district councillors and market tenants. For measures about to be realized, the discussions will not start from square one, and we will focus on implementing them as soon as possible. Before this project is taken to the Finance Committee, can you provide a list of the ongoing items? The paper has explained the areas of work. I do not quite understand what more is requested. We need to set up this unit before work can commence. Mr. Michael Lok, first round. Thank you. We support optimization of FEHD public markets because the public is suffering from the domination of Link REIT and other conglomerates. The groceries have become very expensive. We feel that the FEHD's public markets can help restore some balance to the market. The creation of this new assistant director can help improve the market, so this is correct from a policy perspective. I'm not sure if I missed anything because I just came here from another meeting. Does the government intend to carry out open recruitment or carry out internal promotion? This new post requires new thinking, especially a market or business mentality. For public markets in the past, the operation was often very conventional, and the utilization rates were not high. And some businesses did not operate well. So do you intend to recruit openly or promote from within? Are you going to identify talents with experience in market management? As we explained in our paper, our plan is to create an AOSGC D2 post. So an administrative officer will take up the post. The role involves complex work, and different stakeholders have to be consulted. And there's also coordination work between different departments, for example, in setting up air conditioning. We need someone who is familiar with the inner working of the government. So we will try to identify someone from within the government. Of course, some government staff would be familiar with the working of the government, but there's a chance that they might be somewhat bureaucratic. So is there a way to achieve some breakthrough so that, or can we allow this new officer to grasp the market sentiments as soon as possible? The public has very high expectations of new markets managed by the FEHD, and Mrs. Carrie Lam proposed new FEHD markets in places like Tongchong and Tinshui Wai. Would this officer be responsible of such work as well? This new post would take care of new markets, including preliminary design and planning, as well as the layout, design, services or trade mix of the new markets. And the new unit will take care of all these. Members suggested possible new modes of operation. As I said, this would be considered in our review as well. Thank you. I have nothing to add. First round, Mr. Lang Kwok-hong, 5 minutes. Chairman. According to the paper, you underwent high-level selection process. I'm a legislator from the New Territories East constituency. None of the 6 pilot locations you propose are located in NT East. NT East is a very big constituency. Do you feel that there's no need to look at markets in NT East? You talked about your methodology, but in terms of location, it's somewhat problematic. When you identified the locations in your footnote, you said that some markets have more than one design plan. I went to the Taishing Street Market. There is an operator who is an orphan woman. You talked about a new shopping experience, but when you take the stalls back from the tenants, they would suffer. At the Taishing Street Market, the stalls are too small. If they do not operate outside, and there's no way to survive, but they have to take risks. If they are caught twice, then you would be kicked out. You are forcing people to operate illegally, and they have to count on their luck. And this is a problem with giving discretion. So in terms of the system, you must tackle this problem. And at Kai Yip Street Market, there's air conditioning, but at some markets, the stalls are very small. Well, I posted a photo on Facebook the other day. Can I interrupt you for a moment? We only have 5 or 4 minutes left, and we have one member waiting to speak. Can we extend the meeting by 10 minutes to... Well, I was unwilling, but for public interest, well, I think we should continue because we are very concerned about markets. What about other members? Can we extend the meeting by 10 minutes? I do not agree. I have a lot of questions. So how did you compile your report? How much do you have to say, Ms. Eddie Hsu? If Mr. Lang Kwok-hong is unwilling, I don't think you can wrap up within 10 minutes. So please continue. For Taishing Market, well, I don't like it at all. I don't know how you came up with those pilot locations. Well, the Taixing market is a long-standing problem. The stalls are very small if you do not give them more space. So there's no point in making changes. In other words, you are going to eliminate the people with no competitiveness. If the stalls are too small, operators have to bear an additional risk of breaching the laws whenever they operate. So this is we are looking at other issues like discretion or even corruption. LegCo cannot allow the government to act this way. Deputy Secretary, the markets Mr. Leung Kwok Hong mentioned were among the 6 venues identified by an earlier report. The new post would take care of all 101 FEHD markets, so there would not be any bias. Mr. Leung talked about some cases for certain older markets when they were designed back then, and during the urban council era, one goal was to provide for hawkers, and in some cases with more hawkers, and certain stores were made smaller. And this is indeed a great challenge for the team. We have 1 minute left. I think we should call it a day. Well, I have plenty of questions. What about the Taixing market? You know, there's an orphan seller. She would not end well, so you have to deal with these problems. What if she decides to commit suicide? Luckily, it didn't happen. So it's about time. So we have to wait till this fall before continuing with this item.
多謝各位委員。
Thank you, members, for attending the meeting. We're on time. See you in autumn, back in this subcommittee.